this is weird because this started unfolding yesterday on Twitter. It was actually the most viral hashtag on Twitter, and that viral hashtag was hashtag TrumpPedoFiles.
Oh, my God.
And what this is in regards to, and I would love for anybody here to weigh in at any point because I dug deep. Listen, the reason that I brought this, I am not, Vinny, you mentioned if you speak out against Biden, you get labeled as you're pro-Trump. Yesterday, a guy on Instagram called me a Trump nugget. I didn't know what that meant. It sounds delicious. I bet it'd be the best nugget ever.
That crispy golden brown, delicious, the best.
Realistically, kind of an RFK guy. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'm going to vote for Trump. Don't get me wrong. Because look at the alternative that they're running. Mm-hmm. It would be hypocritical to come on here and cover the Epstein files 2 weeks ago when we talked about all of the people that were involved in the file releases, including Palm Beach Police Department, Alexander Acosta. It would be hypocritical to come on and talk about those guys and not talk about what took place yesterday. So I really want to focus on yesterday and the facts because that's what we focused on when we did the previous Epstein. It wasn't speculation. I didn't get on here and go, Bill Clinton this, Bill Clinton that, Bill Gates, Chris Tucker, Africa. No, I stuck to the evidence that I could find. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, this comes out, Vinny, and I can't find any evidence of it. Here's the story from Raw Story. Congressman shames media for ignoring Trump's name in newly released Epstein documents. This came out yesterday. House Democrats met Tuesday to discuss Joe Biden's candidacy, but one lawmaker, Ted Lieu, a Democrat from California, wanted to know why the press has spent a second week on Biden's cognitive decline rather than looking at recently released Florida court documents in which Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump seem to be colluding together. This is very interesting. Here's the video if we could play. This is Ted Lieu yesterday, Vinny. This is him outside of the this is him doing a press conference where they're supposed to be talking about Biden's cognitive decline, but instead Ted Lieu goes on in front of the mainstream media and he discusses hold on, I think we're going to find the video right here. This is where he claims that the media is ignoring, for the first time, isn't this weird? Why would the media ignore a bad story about Donald Trump? The media has spent since 2015 when he announced his candidacy until now, the past 9 years. It's not in there. I need that video, Kelly. Let me see if I can find it to you and send it to you on Slack.
By the way, while she's looking for it, I just sent Kelly this thing too. Ted Lieu, who I think is a freaking Democrat hack, Liz Kruken, I just sent this to Kelly. Did you guys know this? This guy, Ted Lieu, was hanging out with a guy named Buck. What's his last name? I forgot his last name, but this guy's what's his name? In 2020, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for a convicted serial killer. And I have Ted Lieu. Look at this. This is Ted Lieu hanging out with this guy. Yeah, weird. Wow. Ted Lieu. Brother, these guys are disgusting. Ted Lieu is, dude, he is literally the swamp. When you think of the swamp, that's him. He's the guy that Candace Owens destroyed in Congress because he's a race-baiting, disgusting human being. He has no soul as well. And, bro, I'm happy. He's just, and Rob, and tell me whenever you're ready, these are the type of people, bro, they are told, they don't come up with this. They don't do the research that we do. They're told, hey, listen, this is a nothing story. This is a nothing burger. Take it. Go say this in front of the camera. That's it. I'm pretty sure they got dirt on that little pervert himself.
And Vinny, it's been all over Twitter because I was like, well, it was really weird. It started actually on Monday where I started seeing people going, why is the media ignoring the Trump-Epstein connection? Well, why would the media ignore that? Answer that question. Why would the media ignore after they've gone through, they've drugged this guy through the dirt over the past 9 years, 6 years, whatever, however long it's been, destroying his reputation. Why now would they back off? Here's the video of Ted Lieu, the Democratic congressman, where he calls out the media for, I don't know, covering for Trump and his Epstein connection. Kelly, if we could play the video.
So like Chairman Aguilar said, we hear a lot from our constituents on different issues, but something I've heard that doesn't seem to be being covered are the Epstein files. These files were released, and like Donald Trump sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein, with young girls on board. He is on call logs with Epstein. One of the highest trending hashtags on Twitter right now is about Trump and Epstein. I'm not going to repeat the hashtag because we're in a dignified setting. But yeah, y'all might want to look at that because that's highly disturbing. And again, it shows that Donald Trump is unfit for office. And by the way, he was convicted in a civilian court for sexual assault, convicted in a separate court of 34 felonies. Donald Trump should drop out of the race.
Those are you talk about talking points. He ended the press conference with those talking points. Make sure you hit home on the E. Jean Carroll. Make sure you hit home on the 34 felony convictions.
Yes, Robbie, and he wants to talk about, guys, he wants to talk about trending. You know what's trending on Twitter? A bunch of people are posting this, and I'm going to show it. Reminder, Ted Lieu is trending. He was hanging out with a longtime friend, Ed Buck, who was sentenced to 30 years in prison for killing and drugging young black men. And that's him again. Since Ted Lieu, well, you want to be out there putting people's shit on blast? But like, it's all BS. Like, did that sound like it came from the heart? No, and look at how they automatically go back to, for sexual assault. That was sexual assault was E. Jean Carroll, a psychotic person, okay? And the other one was convicted felon. All BS, all nonsense. They're grasping for straws because Donald Trump is a freaking rocket ship right now, and they're trying to poke holes in the fuselage to make it come down. It ain't gonna happen, Ted Lieu. You're a disgusting. If I had to guess of a lineup of people that had a micro penis, it'd be Ted Lieu, 100%.
Yeah, well, as a guy with a micro penis, we know our own, and I can tell you, Vinny, you're right. Ted Lieu definitely has a micro penis.
Hey, come on. I mean, if I was a Trump campaign, I'd be suing this guy immediately. And the second thing, they can't stop Trump. Did you guys see him the other day at Trump Doral?
Last
night in Miami. He's an unstoppable force of nature. I was working late. I go like, oh, Trump is live on YouTube. He spoke for 3 hours. And by hour 3, he was still being funny. And they don't even know what to do. Like, why would you, like, if you have something solid, okay, like this, if the accusation was real, you just keep it there. But you need to throw the other 3 points on the bottom. So if that one doesn't stick, you get 2 more points. This BS. So I'm calling it a psyop.
I wanted to stick with the evidence because this is the rabbit hole I fell down last night. Was okay. What is the evidence that Trump is in these documents? There were only 3 news sources that I could find that were actually reporting on any type of Trump-Epstein ties, but none of them were discussing newly released information. Take a look at this. This is from the Raw Story article that I showed you before. According to Raw Story, Trump called Epstein many times between 2004 and 2006, the Washington Post cited in documents. Okay, can we pull up the Washington Post article? Because they hyperlink the Washington Post article. This one. Judge releases Epstein grand jury records from criminal case in Florida. This is from July 1st. This is the same article that every news source that's repeating or that's reporting on the Trump-Epstein connection cites. This is the article where they're saying Trump is in this newly released documents, phone records, flight logs. It's there. Okay, so I go to the website. I read the story. And Kelly, if you could pull up the first photo, what I did was I hit Control F and I put in Trump. And I found all of the times that Trump were mentioned in the article. 3 times. Here are the 2 of them. Many of his victims and his wealth and connections led to the state attorney in Palm Beach County, this is in reference to Epstein, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami to treat him with indifference. Epstein was connected to powerful people across the world, including Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and Britain's Prince Andrew. That's mention number 1. Mention number 2, former Miami U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who later became Donald Trump's Labor Secretary, approved a secret agreement in which Epstein pleaded guilty lesser state charges rather than federal prosecution. So those are the only 2. The third one, Kelly, could you pull up the third? This is the third. Is this the right one? Washington Post. The third time, I can't, maybe I didn't send it. I apologize. The third mention of Trump's name in the entire article was in a search bar with other linked stories. Read more about Donald Trump. So the only 3 times that Trump is mentioned in the article in which everybody is citing as the source for information in which Trump has connections to Epstein that have never been released before have no evidence of Trump being connected with Epstein or evidence that has never been released before. It doesn't exist.
Right. Vague sentences says Trump is connected to. And
so what it is it's a hashtag on Twitter that people are reporting that now a U.S. congressman, although micropenis maybe, stands in front of the entire world and then spouts. And what this goes back to, okay, there's a Vox article. Vinny, the complaint about this is a 2006 lawsuit filed by a woman. Her name is, I apologize, Ashley Johnson? Katie Johnson. This woman claims that at 13 years old, she was raped by Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. She claims in court documents, which she ended up dropping the lawsuit, and I'll go through this really quickly because you're going to see this online. Trump raped a 13-year-old girl. Read the court documents. Okay, go and actually read the court documents. The lawsuit was dropped. So go read the story and the reporting from 2016 when this story first came out and see if there's any evidence that Trump is connected to Epstein. Again, I'm not defending Trump. So if this comes off as if I'm defending Trump, it's not. If Trump was involved in pedophilia activities, I would want him prosecuted just as if every other pedophile that does things to underage kids, we should hold them all accountable. Every single one should be put to death if they're convicted of being a pedophile. That being said, there's no evidence that Trump is connected other than some flight logs, and we'll get to that. But here is the 2016 reporting, Vinny, on Vox about this lawsuit. The woman files a lawsuit against Trump. The woman actually files the lawsuit, but there's weird things about the lawsuit. For instance, the lawsuit is pushed by a guy named Steve Baer. He is it's promoted to the media by Steve Baer, an anti-Trump activist and conservative activist and donor with a very influential email list. The woman, who goes by several different pseudonyms, including Katie Johnson and Jane Doe, ends up hiring Lisa Bloom, Gloria Allred's daughter, to represent her at a press conference where she is going to tell the world about Donald Trump raping her when she's 13. However, the day of that press conference, the woman no-shows. 2 days later, she drops her lawsuit against Donald Trump. And then there's one person who speaks to this woman who's claiming, and again, everywhere on Twitter, this is the story that everybody is saying implicates Donald Trump in pedophilia activities with Jeffrey Epstein. There's one woman that speaks to this person making this claim. Her name is Emily Shergman. She is with The Revivalist. She conducts an interview with this woman just days after she drops the lawsuit against Donald Trump. By the way, the woman, when she files the lawsuit, the address that's listed in the documents for the lawsuit for her, stating that it's her address, was actually a foreclosed abandoned home. The phone number that's listed in the documents that she files in court, disconnected. So none of this makes sense. But the woman goes and interviews this person over the phone. She says when she's speaking with Johnson, the woman claiming that Trump did this, her voice sounds muffled and far away when she answers. She speaks softly because she didn't want anyone to overhear her. Several times she paused mid-sentence. She was vague in her descriptions of Epstein's parties, how many people were there, who was there, and wouldn't go into details about what she was asked to do. And the woman concludes in her article, the only person to have spoken to this 13-year-old victim, or who was 13 at the time that she was victimized. She ends her article, Shergman ends the Revivalist article with this quote, and I quote, "I don't know if the Katie Johnson I spoke to is the same girl who Trump allegedly raped in 1994, or if that girl even exists." This is the story that Ted Lieu went up in front of everybody and started spouting, and this is what's going to be spouted all over Twitter. And if you could show this real quick, Kelly, these are flight logs. I'd like to show you these flight logs. These are flight logs of the former president with Jeffrey Epstein. 2002, Miami to Westchester. 2002, New York City to London. We can go through all of them. There's 26 of them. Those are the flight logs proving that a former president was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet. The problem is those flight logs do not implicate Donald Trump. Those are the flight logs of the former president William Jefferson Clinton, who was on the flight with Jeffrey Epstein 26 different times. So if we're going to open this can of worms, Kelly, show the next one. These are the flight logs that actually show Donald Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet. There's 5 of them in 1997, 93, 93, 94, 95, all of them locally to Teterboro Airport or West Palm. So he never went to the island. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein didn't even own the island at that time. And most of these flights involve Donald Trump flying with his children, including let's see, Eric was on the flight, Ivanka was on a flight. So Why would you bring your children with you to go fly with a convicted pedophile who was not convicted yet to rape underage kids with your kids present? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing is a side.
I don't.
Well, that's why the establishment newspapers
Hold
aren't
on,
even
go,
talking.
Vinny, go ahead. I want Vinny's input first, then we'll go around the table.
Yeah, I do. And you guys all know the game plan. If you want to try to destroy somebody, automatically throw woman, rape, kid. It's like, shut the hell up. If they had anything on Donald Trump, anything, like meaning he was in a room with an underage girl and they recorded it and at Epstein's house or the island, which he never went to, do you think, guys, let's be real, that wouldn't have been released? Are you, whoever's watching this that leans to the left, you're an idiot if you don't think any of that proof would have been out already 7.5 years later. This is a nothing story. They are grasping for anything. It's not going to work. That's their game plan. They tried it with, what's his name? Andrew Tate. They do it with everybody, bro. The moment somebody's getting too big and they're opening their mouth and they're pushing back, what happens, guys? They go after your freaking character. They get a woman to get involved. They go after your bank account. And their last resort is that they have to kill you. And that's it. Let's just be honest with each other, bro. Nobody believes this shit. Some idiot on Instagram, I'm shocked I even gave him this energy. He was like, oh, like a gotcha. What do you think about this? Fact checked it, fake. The girl said it never happened. I go, bro, this is the tactic that you guys do, and nobody's believing it. A small little fringe of people are, nobody else.
I agree. Let's go to Brandon first. Brandon, then Humberto, Shane, and Connor, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I would venture to say that this Lou guy is kind of like an ambitious outsider of the establishment that didn't even have the permission of the establishment to go ahead and make this claim. Because, if people like Pelosi and Schumer and all the mainstream media sites aren't talking about, then it's a super nothing story. Because, they've moved heaven and earth to almost manufacture a lot of things that, you could prove beyond doubt that aren't true. So I think that they're fearful to even touch this and open up this can of worms to, open the door for what the people they're friends with actually did with Epstein. So I don't think the establishment wants to touch this at all in association with Trump. That's the most logical thing I can think of for why they're not mentioning it.
Humberto.
This is called in the business, it's called circular reporting. Okay, so this is what you do. You grab a news stories from the past that has some hot line that you can get out there, like whatever caught your attention and got the hashtag going. So you report from that story on the story. It doesn't matter if the story is true. You make another story and another story and another story, and you start looping the stories so the source is never known. And then you get 50 to 100 guys to retweet the video or retweet the article, and you get the ball rolling. Like this is like intelligence, 101, super easy to do, terrible execution, and that's what it is.
And here's the thing. I kept finding, so I went down the rabbit hole. I started looking into I went back to the call logs. I wanted to see the information that the Palm Beach County prosecutor released last week. Is Trump in the call logs? He's not. I scrolled through all 47 pages of the call logs, most of them redacted. So unless these people that are on Twitter have redacted info and they're tweeting that out, there's no implication of Trump in the flight logs. And the only relationship he had with Epstein ended in 2002 before the sex accusations, when they had a falling out after Epstein was inappropriate with a girl at Mar-a-Lago and Trump kicked him out and said, I never want to have a relationship with this guy again.
I just want to ask you, how many of you, like Robs, that will go through all the trouble there is out there, and how many of people like you have a microphone to call it out? So it is what it is. It's almost like you can't fail. Like it's the easiest way to do it.
Shane?
And yeah, even though it's that easy, they're still not picking it up besides this one guy. And also, where was Ted Lieu about all the other people who were indicted in the Epstein flight logs? Where was he about Bill Clinton, about Bill Gates, about Prince Andrew, about any of the elite who have been to the island, and that we know they've been to the island? There was a painting of Bill Clinton at the island. Has he ever tweeted about that or held a press conference about that? And then also, the one thing that you always see about Trump and Epstein is this quote where Trump says, I hear Jeff likes him young. I've never actually seen this quote substantiated, but even, like, let's just assume he said that. Trump was probably saying this about Epstein's numerous 20-year-old girlfriends who he had and that we know he's had because they've been quoted in numerous reports. And, if Trump was hanging out with him in the 90s, that was before Epstein even started doing the West Palm Beach rapes, way before the island. So this is like, we're going back 10 years before Epstein started engaging in these pedophilic activities. And to quote Trump in that context and apply it to the 2000 and on context is literally misinformation. That's the true definition of it. And then also, like, Trump, like as Vinny said, if they really had something, you would absolutely know about it. There's no way in hell that they wouldn't be blaring this everywhere. And it just goes back to the, like I was saying before, the press is not the press and the politicians are not the politicians. This guy is unjust. He's not looking for justice against Epstein's victims. He's simply trying to take down probably the one guy in political life that isn't tainted by Epstein.
It's
Trump.
even scummier. He's discrediting all of the actual victims who were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein and then focusing on ones who weren't with Trump. So he's using all of the vicious rape and molestation that's happened to those poor innocent victims, and he's using that to get people outraged at Donald Trump for something that didn't happen.
It's actually evil.
Connor, final words.
And I just want to drill home on something real quick here. If Rob Gargiulo going down a rabbit hole is not enough to dig up evidence on something, that thing likely does not exist. Because you go deep, man. You go deeper than most people I have interacted with on these subjects. Rob's described, the way he searches these things. Like, if it's not showing up on what Rob is looking for, it's not out there to be found right now. So the fact that they're trying to build this whole thing out of, like Humberto said, the false appeals to authority of, the people citing stories that are citing stories that are citing stories.
Circular reporting.
Circular reporting, false appeals to authority, the citation circle jerk, as it's often called. It's the worst, most underhanded journalistic tactic they can come up with. But that article you showed that has the claims already treats connections between Trump and Epstein like an established fact. Of, it's in the documents. The documents prove that Trump was connected to Epstein and Epstein was connected to Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew. Okay, what documents? Because the only citations you can find on that are things citing, this guy said he saw the documents. Okay, but what documents? Nobody can actually confirm what those are. But this is how narratives take shape. They don't want Bill Clinton to be connected to Epstein. They don't want Bill Gates to be connected. They don't want Prince Andrew. They don't want all these other public figures. But they really want Trump to be connected to Epstein. They would just love for Donald Trump to have abused a 13-year-old girl. That would be the perfect thing, because they know that even diehard Trump people would be like, okay, obviously I'm not going to support him if he molested a 13-year-old. So that's what they're going for now. And I think to Brandon's point is probably correct. Ted Lieu probably didn't have elite establishment permission to bring that up. He just saw it on Twitter and decided to go for it.
Yeah.
And great. Now a member of Congress said it, so I guess it's a matter of public record now. It's trending. The pedophiles.
Yesterday it was 158,000. When I saw it last night, 158,000 times it had been tweeted. It was like the number 2 trending story in the entire United States.